Okay. Okay. I'd like to go back, go over some of the things we spoke about or didn't speak about last week, and try to finish this mitzvah up and maybe move on to the next one. You know, every time I look at it, I'm amazed at what I thought I knew and I don't know. So let's start with a very interesting thing. The Rambam, when he, at the beginning of the mitzvah, he says his hilnu miksoim. Okay, now that is not written in a Hebrew. Okay, I mean it's not it's written as an Arabic word. In other words, somehow it's an Arabic translation of ksoim. He doesn't like the word ksoim. He writes the word als kahan. Okay, now this seems to be very innocuous, als kahan. Okay, but as you see, it's very interesting. It probably might be the word kahan or kahin in Arabic is a soothsayer, a future teller, fortune teller. Okay, soothsayer. Okay, say it. Let's now focus in on especially, let's keep in mind, the Rambam made a big deal that what the Kesem is doing is he's augmenting and he's exciting, actualizing the potential of his intuitive sense or his creative sense or imagination in order to be able to tell the future. And he does something, as Kapach says, much more clear. One of the what he does is he awakens his latent sense of imagination or intuitive sense. Okay, now the Rambam calling him basically a soothsayer is making a statement that there's no relationship between this gentleman and a Novi. A Novi doesn't say Nevuah because he's activating his Koyach Hadimya. Being a Novi Shmias Dvorim Derech Malach. But the Kesem is gifted with the Koyach Hadimya, and therefore he can be somehow guess al pi roiv the future. Tshuvas Rashba. Now you'll understand what I'm driving at. Tshuvas Rashba, Chelik Aleph Siman Tov Kuf Mem Ches. I'm not. You can read the tshuva. It's an interesting tshuva. I'm not. This is beyond the purview of this mitzvah. It's really not. He says, "Kvar hoyu anoshim v'chein rabim shekoich dimyonam chazok." That their abilities in whatever dimyon is great. Oh, Mitchilas told us they were born that way. Oh, she is chadish behem b'mikra, or somehow a certain event occurred, and somehow that sense became augmented. V'yiu chizyonos amitiim, and they will see things or whatever it is, I guess they might have what might be thought of as close to a prophetic vision or something like that, which are true. And he says, "V'kol oisam hachachomim kahin." Okay, I think what he means, "V'kol oisam hachachomim," I guess the Arabic scholars, and this is an Arabic word, kahin, and this is the word al-kahin. Okay, these are the soothsayers, and this is what the Rashi was talking about, is tshuva. Okay, and this is it. Okay, the interesting thing is the foil between the Ramban and the Rashi. Okay, so like making a word, an Arab calls a chum kahin. This is it. Now, what I'm interested is the Ramban also in Chumash talks about the kahin, but reading the Ramban in Chumash, you might have a whole different take on things. And I just like to contrast the Rashba to the Ramban, or maybe to the Ram, we'll see. The Ramban to the Ram, maybe also. Okay. The Ramban somehow uses kahin in some relationship to Nevuah, but he has the word ulai, and we're not sure how serious it is and what's happening exactly. Okay, so let's just read it, and you'll take it or leave it for what it is. Here it is. The Ramban before says that a Novi HaSheker, he has this ulai, this possibility, that when the Torah calls something a Novi HaSheker, he might be mistabek with a malach, because the Ramban's opinion in general that what he calls seichel nivdol or scholim hanivdolim are malachim, and he says that he has a possibility, he's not sure about it, that the Novi HaSheker might be mistabek with a malach, which sounds odd. If someone else would have said it, they might have said it, a little stronger than what I said. Okay, now let's read the Ramban and let's see what he says. Ramban, Dvorim Yud Gimel Posik Beis. Dibur Maskol Kiyokum Bekir B'Chol Novi or Choleim Chaloim. So there's a Novi and there's a Choleim Chaloim. Okay. Yikrenu HaKosuv Novi. Ramban's bothered by this. Okay. So the first shot, which I'm not getting involved with, is called a Novi because he calls himself a Novi, not because there's any relationship to the board. It's, he gave himself a title. The Torah is referring to the way he refers to himself. Okay. But then the Ramban says that maybe you can take this seriously. And here's where things become interesting. V'itochen, and this, the Ramban's itochen, it usually is more like a derech pshat, and it's an option. He's not sure about it. V'itochen, but itochen is not the same as an ulai. I'm not sure exactly what the difference is, but there's itochen. He's ready to accept this. Okay, itochen sheyumois hakosuv l'mashu emes. I don't know what he means. It's not pshat in pasuk, which usually yitochen is a derech hapshat or something like that. He says remes. Sheyumois hakosuv. Very strange use. Sheyumois hakosuv l'mashu emes. Kibin the foshois b'ksaks ha'anoshim koach nevui. Some people have a natural prophetic sense, which is very odd to call it nevui. Okay. See, the Rashba, the Ram called it soothsayer, something like that. That we understand. But koach nevui yedu boy asidois lo yeda hoish me'ayin boloi. He has no clue where it comes from. So he's not the regular Novi where he comes. We know, who knows, what's happening, what's coming, I assume. Avo yisboid avo Yizboidei. See, it's a whole different way, a whole different modus operandi to have this koyach, according to the Rambam, he somehow is, he activates it. The Rashba tells you no clue. They just have a koyach chazak, and he doesn't tell you how it happens, okay? The Ramban says that he meditates. Avol yizboidei v'sovoy boi ruach leimo kocho yeh li'oseh lovoy b'dvar ploni. Okay, so this yovoy tzovo boi haruach. It doesn't sound like, it's something almost. He's trying to make this somewhat like a semi-novi. And then he adds another sentence, another few words, and then we'll do the sentence afterwards. But the few words that he says, "V'yikru loy ha-philosophim," that's, I guess, the Greeks or something like that, or the philosophers, whatever he calls them, tahin. Interesting. The Ramban, it's not clear how much knowledge of Arabic he had, but he is quoting this Arabic words which the philosophers use for this individual. But the Rashba tries to say that it's an intuitive sense, and I assume in the Rambam also it's somewhat of intuitive a dimyon. The Ramban, is. But you see here, you can say no, he doesn't mean it, whatever it is, or maybe he does. But the next line becomes even more incriminating. Okay, excuse the word. Not after this line. Then that was the tochin. Now there's an ulai. Ulai. Hanefesh b'his boidido. I assume that's what they suggest it should be. B'his boidido, with his meditation. See, it's not the Rambam. It's not the Rambam that he's banging or he's trying to activate. He's been meditating. Okay. Tidbak b'seichel hanivdal. So through meditation, he somehow connects with the Malach. This is the real apparatus of Nevuah. V'tiskaven boy, v'ish hazeh yikod novi ki misnabehu. So then the word novi in the Torah is very serious, and he's ready to call it maybe a kayin. That's not sure. Maybe he falls off kayin when he says v'ulai this. But even in the Tochen, there's too much of a reference to Novi for my personal good, because once you use the word kahin, it's more or less he reinterprets kahin to be more than soothsayer. Okay, so I thought this, once I saw this kassim in the Rambam of Alas Kayin. So then I realized that the Rambam certainly is coming in the arena of this discussion between the Rashba and the Ramban, and it's certainly much more. The Rambam is certainly much more in the Rashba, in the Rashba's camp, than the Ramban. And I'm not sure. It's an amazing thing what he does with Pshat Pasuk, and he's careful. He doesn't say it's Pshat and Pasuk. He says remes. You're talking. I'm not sure what he's trying to do. Okay. Now, that was my first point. Second point, okay. Last week, I think we discussed something, but I wasn't aware of the significance, I must say, and maybe I'm wrong, okay? I must say, I read the Pirush Mishnayos and Mishnah Torah again and again and again and again and then again, okay? And I think I have an idea with Diukim, Paul Basham, that, there's something amazing going on between, in a different approach between Mishnah Torah and the Pirush HaMishnayos, okay? Let's go slowly, okay? The Rambam, let me just read some of it, and then we'll go in Pirush HaMishnah, in Avodah Zarah Perek Daled Mishnah Zayin. Shurish ze hatzaba, v'heim ha'amim asher yotze Avrom Avinu michlolo, v'cholak al deosei ha'nifsad zema she'otza Hashem b'liboy min ha'choch. V'oyu megadlim es ha'kechovim, u'miyach lehem pu'ulos she'enon lahem. In other words, he's very clear that the Kachov nothing to do with the events on the world. And they somehow were miyaches to the Kachovim, some relationship to what happens in this world. V'heim asher yostu, and they started the science, the pseudoscience of astrology. Yistu es gzeres hakechovim, v'akishuv, v'alochoshim, v'godas haluchnios, v'sikrachovim, v'sheinim, v'kesem, v'anichush, l'chol ribui minehem, udrishas hamesim, v'harbe me'ela, hoinyon, asher shelefi ha'teiro ha'mitis, chovo aleim, v'koso isom, v'heim sheresh avodah zarah v'an. Okay, now I'm going to tell you something, which is not negate to us, but it's negate to Sefer HaMitzvos. And I wasn't aware of this thing, but I'm confused a little bit. In Mitzvah Kuf Pei Zayin, I say, so you get it here. Yeah, Kosani, cool. Yeah, Kuf Pei Zayin. Now, he says, Sikapach Kuf Pei Zayin, Shnitztavinu Larog Shiva Amamim, Ula Hashmidom. Okay. Lefi Sheheim Hoyu Iko Avodah Zarah V'Yisod Rishon. Okay. Now, here it's basically Atzel, which is Sherish or Ika Avodah Zarah. So I'm not sure, is it the Tzava or is it the Shiva Amamim who are the Yisod of Avodah Zarah? That's just an aside. Okay? But that's not, okay? But here in Pirush Mishnayos, he's working with the Tzaba, with Avrom Avinu, and there's something called Sheresh Avodah Zarah Ve'anfo. Okay? Okay, and here, it's Sheresh Avodah Zarah V'Yisod. I'm not sure if it's different or whether it's something else, whatever. Okay, good. Now, what I was trying to do is thinking, what does this mean? And when he says in Mishnah Torah, in Perek Yud Aleph, of Hilchos Avodah Zarah, Halacha Tezayin, Udvorim Ha'elu, Kulon Divrei Sheker V'Chozov Heim, V'Heim Shehitu Behen, Oivdei Avodah Zarah, HaKadmoinim, L'Goyi Ha'alotzes, Kidei Sheyinhu, Achareihem. So what does it mean? He's talking about Kesem, the astrology, whatever, Nichush, all the different things here. And the important thing over here is he is saying that they were a strategy, a tachbula, of the Oivdei Avodah Zarah to hold on to the Hamoim, to that they should be Oivdei Avodah Zarah. V'hem she'ita ben Oivdei Avodah Zarah kadmoin l'goy halotzes kidei sheyinahu acharei, and they should go after them. What do we go after them? Go after them to be Oivdei Avodah Zarah. So you have to ask yourself, is the idea, and this will be very important to understand the whole scheme of things, is astrology and nichush and kishuv, is it a postscript, a tachbula after the Oivdei Avodah Zarah to get the populace involved in Avodah Zarah, or it's a preface to the whole concept of Avodah Zarah? And I want to suggest that in Pirush HaMishnayos, it's not a postscript and a tachbula, a modus operandi to be used to help the flock to Avodah Zarah, but it basically is the root, the shirish of Avodah Zarah. Okay? I thought that's very interesting. Now, let's read the Ram Pirush HaMishnayos and see if what I say is a figment of my imagination or it's actually real. Okay, let's try it. V'heim dvorim shezochu lepirsum rav eitzel umus. V'shirish, he's talking about these various, whether it's kesem or the kishuf or the onein, astrology, whatever you want. V'hatzav v'heim ha'amim asher yotza Avram Avinu b'chlolam v'chol hakal de'yoseim ha'nifsodei zema she'otza Hashem b'libo min ha'chochma. We discussed last week, there might be reference to Kloyas Yotzais. V'hoyu megadlin es ha'kechovim u'miyachsin lehem puloi she'en lehem. We read before. V'heim asher yistu, they were the founders of Gezeres Kechovim astrology, v'akishuf, v'alachoshim, v'alodas haruchnius, v'sichol chovim v'sheinim v'kesem, v'nicha nichush l'chol ribu mineim, all different types. Okay. U'trish ta'mesim, v'hav me'elu inyonim, asher shelefi ha'Torah mitis chov aleim v'kosa oisam. Okay, the Torah is against it. V'heim sherish avodah zarah v'anf. So this line by itself is almost meaningless. You get the impression something very important is going on here, but you have to read further to understand the significance of this line. Then he continues. V'zeh sha'kozma rishon hu gzeres hakachovim. See, he is giving a chronological timeline for Avodah Zarah. And the first step, not the last step, is astrology. Okay? I didn't see in Frankel's Rambam someone medayek this, but I think this is a very important thing over here. Okay? I was wondering if there was such a double portion, everyone should have noticed this. So he says, V'shakozov harisha hu gzeres hakechov. Asher muchach b'moifes hachochma, that's philosophical proofs, hativius bitul hakadmus, hakdomosel arishonos, hakdomosel arishonos, b'oimum koicha ploni mazlo ra. This astrology is based on a pasuk. You can have such a thing. The koicha ploni mazli ra, uploni mazli toiv. This koicha was like that. This one's like that. V'chelik ploni min agalgo matim lekoicha ploni, and this part of the galgo is intertwined with this koicha. Umisnage lekoicha ploni, which against the other ploni, because one's ra and one's toiv. Okay, beside okay, so he says the idea is nonsense, but okay, but that's what it is. Okay. That's the chefsa of astrology. Okay. Asher im yisamis bitulon kmo shikva yisamis, and if you're ready to accept that what they is hevel avolim is batul poteho ad hoachrid shebehem, and then everything. In other words, you pull the rug, everything falls. Okay. So this is the first lie. Okay. What's the second lie? It's based on the first lie, but if the first lie doesn't exist, you don't have the second lie on top of it. Vehein hatalsmois. This is the talismois. V'omu, whatever this is second. V'omu she'im yiyah koicha ploni shemazal toiv v'mokom ploni hamatim loy. That is certainly the 35th parallel. It's a certain way the way you look at the way you define the stars and where they are at different points. They made certain suas when stars were in certain positions in the sky. Vihi tovoi toelis, and these effigies or whatever they were, psilim, brought the mazel tov from the koichav down over here, whatever that means. And that was this idea of talismois. So they told you exactly what suit to make in the order of vihi hachik nezekach, and it will keep it away. Okay. There's no avodah zarah over here. You're just trying to deal with the koiches and the koichavim. That's the second lie. First of all, they have koiches, or in terms of tov v'ra, and the second lie is how to deal with them. Okay, good. This is Pashas Zerainian, Kifi his Pashas Gzeres Kachovim, Umashim Yuchos Lehem. So as much as far as astrology goes, the talismios can go with it as to that. In other words, wherever it is, the talism could accompany it. Now the important thing, what's the third lie? Ahaka chukov kezev shlishi al zehasheni vihi avodah zarah. So avodah zarah is based on two lies. And the first lie is astrology. So astrology is what the Ram calls Shevish Avodah Zarah. Oh, I thought that's the God's basis. It's the root of Avodah Zarah. And if that wouldn't exist, Avodah Zarah wouldn't exist. Vihi Avodah Zarah k'fi ispashtus gzeres hakachovim u'ma shemiyuchos lahem min haprotim. Achar kachuk, of course, b'shlisha v'zeh hasheni v'Avodah Zarah v'nema shezois hatzura asher ta'as teoseh v'mazel kach v'al matzova plonis im yuktalo, if you be oived to this pesel or to the mazel, whatever. Be oifem ploni v'yispal eleho b'milim kach v'yishtachvu lo v'kach hare hi tafsik nezik koicha ploni v'sovi toeles ploni. So it's logically, well, maybe I'm missing something, but I would tell you what the Rambam is suggesting in Mishnah Torah is the exactly logical opposite of what happens over here in Pirush Mishnayos. In Pirush Mishnayos, the whole Avodah Zarah is based on the concept of astrology. Okay, whereas in Mishnah Torah, he says just the opposite. He says that astrology was the modus operandi that the goyim used, the Oivdei Avodah Zarah Kadmonim, to get the whole flock to be Oivdei Avodah Zarah. Unless both are true, I don't know exactly, but that's not what he's representing in Mishnah Torah is that the astrology is a postscript which they developed in order to get people to be Oivdei Avodah Zarah. But it wasn't the root of Avodah Zarah. Now, I want to go one step further, and I just want to suggest that the Ramban in Chumash is like the Pirush Mishnayos, not like the Mishnah Torah. I'm not getting involved. The Ramban is the Rambam, whether it's a lie or not, okay? Because the Ramban seems to say astrology, it's part of my separations. Okay, I'm not getting involved in that, in the pros and cons of that. But the Ramban says like this in Shmos Perich Chof Pasuk Beis. I was going to that as a dibbers. He says, "V'amin hasheni b'avodah zarah shechozu lavo v'tzoa shamayim anire mehem oivdei hashemesh o yereach mehem lemazal min hamazolos ki kol achas min ha'umois yod l'koyach hamazal bo k'fi mishtoroi al ha'oretz shelahem v'choshvu ki b'avodosam yigba hamazal v'yoyel lahem ki in shekosav." It's based on the fact that there is a mazel and it affects the world, and the Avodah Zarah is a way to help it affect the world or to change the way it affects the world, which is where the Rambam has the story in Pirush Mishnayos. Ki v'choshvu ki ba'avoidosam yigba ha'mazel v'yoyel lahem ki in shekosu v'shotchum l'shemesh v'lereach u'l'chol tzvo hashamayim asher ahavu v'asher ovdu v'asher hoch achreiim v'asher doshim v'chulei v'asher ishtachvu lehem v'shom k'mo shenem b'torah v'isui avodah zarah v'pentiso einecha shamayimo v'isa shemesh yireach v'zachrovim chol tzvo hashamayim v'nidachta v'ishtarvis alehem v'avatom asher cholak Hashem elokech oisam l'cholam. Ramban lo yitakol hashemesh, that these taka have a shlita. Yoyma ki ba'avo shecholak Hashem oisam l'chol ha'amim v'nosan l'chol am koicha v'mazel lo yitiya nidach achreim li'ovdom. You shouldn't be over them. V'elo anoshim heim shechilu laso yisatzua yisarabes v'psilim v'ashem v'achamonim ki hoyu oisim tzuos mazolom b'shos asher lohem hakoyach kefi malosam. That's a Talmud says, which he mentions in the cause of Hasheni. In other words, everything over here that the Rambam is the Ramban, but the Ramban presents it as true, and the Rebbeinu Shalom gave this koyach, and he just wanted to use it, and the Rambam says it's all a bunch of lies. It's the same story, but a different spin. But it's not the story of Mishnah Torah, where the Rambam says that it was a post. It was a postscript. It was a way to get them involved in a book. So this is, I'll be frank with you, I thought this amazing. And but see, I understand in terms of the Pirush Mishnayos why the Rambam thought it's so important to say this is all a lie, because you want that the base of the Zohar itself is a lie and everything. It's a propagation of one lie after another lie after another lie. Whereas the Ramban, it's like a whole different world. The thing makes sense. It just they took it to a state and they assumed that since it has powers, so let's try to harness them. That was an Aveda, okay? But the etzem idea that they have powers and that there's it's according to Ramban, it's part of my separation. That's not really our issue then, okay? You see, I just want to. Okay, I want to develop now another thing, and I just want to come back to this, so you'll see what I mean. I'm very confused about this. Part of it I'm not confused, and part of it I am confused, and I'll share with you where I'm standing. Okay, if you recall, last time we discussed about Richus, that the Ram goes out of his way to tell you all the different ways. There are many, not all, many different ways, visulasam, as he says, that the soothsayer excites his intuitive sense or his imagination or whatever it is, okay? And they're all part of the Betzamisa. It's not just the Hechsh. That's what we're pointing out. Ram goes again and again and again and explains each one after the next. And then he says, it's not an exhaustive list. He says, V'zulasa. Then he has a line which a few lines which I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll discuss the various studies where it's a parenthetical remark or not. Okay. And we spoke about it a little bit last week just to ask the question, but we didn't come to conclusions about it last week. We'll see. He has these lines over here. Lonia es koyach hamishabe boy, or as Kapach has it, v'amator b'chol elu lo'ira es koyach sheyesh boy. It's to excite his imagination or creativity or his intuitive sense. That's what all these things, these banging, all different things. Okay. Lo yishois hapoel batzmusa yaseh dovo or yera al dovo. The way that he excites or activates or catalyzes the koyach hadimyon or the koyach hashoro has nothing to do with the future. It's only exciting his koyach, and the koyach is what's telling you the future. Lo yishois hapoel batzmusa yaseh dovo. Oh, then he says, and this is a very odd line. Kiheim Bavut Shiitztaku Lahem Ksas Isam Sikurim, since some of the stories which they told, or it means some of the prophecies or the soothsaying, the prediction of the future came true. Yechshavu she'elu ha'pu'ulos yoyra al mashiyeh. It's not his koyach hadimyon, but it's the pu'ulos that he did, the banging, all these crazy things. That's what caused the future. V'yigia bo'emoy inyan b'zatos ad she'achshavu choshvu kiksas oisam ha'pu'ulos sibas hayos mashiyeh. And this is the reason why the future has this caused the banging. Somehow he controlled the future. Como shiachshavu bale mishpatei hakechovim ki dine hakechovim omnom heim mizeh hayachas kloima sheheim min the dinim of the ksov, the kchovim, all the various astrological methods and instruments is a way sheheim min mehanos hakoyach uleoire oisai and in kapach min mimines oires hakoyach. But which koyach? Which koyach is mimoire? And why in the world? Why is it I'm talking about? It's a parenthetical remark that the world misinterprets this, or something very important is going on over here. What I'm wondering, maybe, is that I'm saying that the astrologer is also gifted with some type of intuitive sense, and he's using all these ploys. What is he saying? He's using all the ploys, the whole astrology, to excite his mind, because he says another line. Otherwise, what I said before, this by itself, what I said is crazy. Let's read the next line. That two astrologers, if it's an exact science, two astrologers would ask the same question, should have the exact answer. And it's not true. So what's the difference between the two astrologers? It's just a pure exact science. They're looking at the stars and figuring out the tables, and everything is there, or there's something more going on. And maybe astrology then is another way to excite the koyach of the koyach hadimyan. And that's what's going on in astrology. So Kapach says Ein shnei b'nei Odom shovim b'mitas hagodes or asidois v'afa b'shein shovim v'idiyas mishpatim. So what's the difference? So even though what I said, when I first thought of it, I thought it was crazy, but this last sentence is incomprehensible unless you assume that he's assuming that the astrologist somehow is using his intuitive sense to be, and he's trying to explain why two astrologers don't have the same take on things, the same issue. Okay. So, I asked myself, so therefore what? what? Since that's the reason why the Torah asked, so therefore what? What's what I'm telling you? What does it do with me in HaMitzvos? That's the reason why the Torah asked it? Because the Hamon makes the mistake, otherwise it would have been mutter. What does the Rama want here? That's what I was confused about. Until this point, I said to myself, the last conclusion that I thought was crazy, I said to myself, that's what it seems to say. But no, even once I got that, I had no clue. I have no clue what I'm talking about, okay? But the question is, but what does it do with me in HaMitzvos? Why is it important? Is this the reason why the Torah said it? It's like a Sefer Chinuch over here, Taimi HaMitzvah. What does he want? And what's so bad that Hamoin thinks that they are poil? So I can imagine when you talk about the stars being poil, because that really is the Shirish V'Anfov of the Zohar. And then the Rambam is coming back to the Pirush HaMishnah.
No.
If that's correct, okay? So maybe he's coming back to the Pirush. This is what this was the big grand finale. Then he's coming back to the Pirush HaMishnah, so it's a very important thing. But then, we're okay till now, and it sounds good, okay? But now, let me just throw in like the monkey wrench and tell you the problem. So, but I would tell you, good in terms of astrology and oinus in the next lab. This is all beautiful, okay? It's a shirish over the Zohar, Torah, and that's why, wow, okay? But I ask you about Kaisem, and it's partially the guy's banging around to try to activate his intuitive sense. So what the heck? What difference does it make if these poolers are banging around are causing the future, or it's his intuitive sense? Why should we be concerned about this? L'cheiret has nothing to do with Avodah Zarah. In astrology, I understand it, because since you have the Pirush Mishnah and the astrology, the side of Avodah Zarah, the Sheirish, and the Anfa of Avodah Zarah is astrology, so I understand. Wow, so this is the reason why the Torah asked it. Okay, beautiful, because people think that they're poolers. Okay, but I asked what's going on over here in Kesem. It don't make no sense. However, now the final confusion, okay? What I like to do is now read the Pirush Mishnayos again carefully, and then I'll leave it as Teku, okay? You remember the Pirush Mishnayos I'm reading. Shirish zeh hatzava v'heima ami mashe yotze Avrom Avinu michlolam v'chol k'deusayim nitfosa hanifsodes v'mashe otza Hashem b'liboy min ha'chochmo v'yu megadlim es ha'kechovim u'miachsalim pulos she'en lahem. Right? V'heima sheyistu es gzeres ha'kechovim v'akishuv v'alachash v'alachoshim v'oladas ha'ruchnius v'sichos kechovim v'ashedim v'akesem v'anichush. What the heck? What does Kesem have to do with this? Kesem is a poshet, the guy who has he was granted, the Rebbeinu Shalom he was gifted with clairvoyant abilities, and he bangs around to what does it do with him? But the Rambam himself says over here, this has to do with Avodah Zarah. I just don't get it. And then he goes on, and he says, when he's talking about Vashedim, Vakesem, Vanichush, V'chol Mineim, Udrishas Hamesim, V'habim Elu Inyonim, Asher Shelafi HaTorah Amitis, Taba Aleim, V'kol Soisom, V'heim, V'chol is referring to all of them. Sheirish Avodah Zarah V'Anf. Okay. And more than that, we said that the Goyim, the Oida Avodah Zarah Mishnah Torah Kadmonim knew that this is a falsehood. They used it as a ploy for everyone, okay? But the Rambam Pirush Mishnayos clearly says, and it's mistaba like that, if the Sherish Avodah Zarah Anfor, that even the Hovei Shemayim, the astrologers believe in this. Because he says, V'chei motzosi lehem he'ora al gzeris ha'kachovim shehi noiheges minig ha'nichush loy shehi hasibo kamo shechishvim hovei shamayim. The hovei shamayim atzmom think that this is the way it works. Loy v'omu loy shenachshu k'goy elu ha'mitnachshim v'chul da v'yoifes v'koichov. So, I just don't get it. I don't understand, the chayra. I would have assumed with the Pirush Mishnayos, this whole phrase, this whole section, the Rambam, of Kavona Bezer, Matorah Bezer, is discussing why the Torah asked it. And the Pirush Mishnayos is beautiful. And he applies it to Kesem. But how, the way he presents Kesem over here in Sefer HaMitzvos, how this can happen is just beyond me. Okay? Okay. I just want to add something. And try to explain to you why the Rambam did this. Okay. Why? I mean, we understand what he did in Sefer HaMitzvos. We don't understand that section. But it seems to be a very, it's something part of nature, the intuitive sense and banging around to get it active. Why in the world did the Rambam try to, in Pirush HaMishnah, try to get Kesem and put it together with Avodah Zarah? I don't know how he did it, okay? I must say I'm baffled, but I just want to know why does he want this? So I have a suggestion, okay? This is my suggestion. Let's read some psukim. I want to show you how I think the Rambam interprets the psukim, and the Ramban interprets them differently. And this would be, I think, the reason why what's going on over here. Awesome. The Torah goes like this. In Perek Yitches and Dvorim, Posik Testing Beis. Ki atobo elorotz asher Hashem Elokecho noisin locho lo sumo lasois ki so avois hagoyim ho'eim. And a priori, there's a colon. There are to'evos, and now the Torah gives you a list of these to'evos, and there's a broad law of lo sumo la'asois ki to'evos hagoyim ho'eim, but the Torah then is mefaret. This, that, this. And then I can imagine that the broad law of Leisuma Lases is not in Minyan HaMitzvos because the kilu is koil harbe. It's like in the same way a mitzvah which is koil kol kul. It's a koil of very different lavim. Okay. I'm just, we have to understand, but this is not Minyan HaMitzvos. Okay, next. But it is clearly to'evos. Lo yimsi motze b'chom avi b'noy bitoy bo'esh Kaisem Ksomim, Moinen, Umenachesh Umachashe, V'choy V'chover, V'shoyel Oivid Oidi V'doy Shalamesim. Ki Tovas Kol Oise Eile, Ubeglala Tovas Eile, Hashem Elokecha Morish Oisam Miponev. So Kaisem Ksomim is also a Toeva. So someone should ask themselves, what's the Toeva in Ksomim? If you put it together with Avodah Zarah, we understand the Toeva aspect. But if it's just plain Asidais, it don't make no sense. Excuse the double negative. Interesting. The Ramban flips the whole story over here. Okay. Comes the Ramban and says that the Torah speaks al derech haroiv, and it does not all the things mentioned here are toevos, only most of them. And kaisem ksomim is not a toeva. I'll read the Ramban in Perek Yud Ches and Dvorim Posek Tes. The Oma Akosuf, Ki Toavas Hashem Kol Oise Eila, V'le Oma Oise Kol Eila, Ki Akosuf Diber Yedaber Al Rubom, Ki HaMa'oinen VaMenachesh Ein HaToeva, V'le Hirish HaKananim Ba'avurim, Ki Kol B'nei Odom Yis'avu L'das Asidais Lomoy, Umisaskin B'chochmois Rabois Ko'elu L'daitam. It's the Chochmo. Again, Ramban the Shitas, it's not a Hevel Das, yes. So it's a whole different take on things. So I think this might have motivated the Rambam, but I have no idea of what the relationship between Avodah Zarah and Kesem is exactly. Okay. Amit, I think I'll end with this note because to start something new is not time anymore. Let's pick up next week.